Welcome back to another video. If you are a regular viewer, you'll know that I've been trying to waterproof this roof for what seems like forever, but now it's finally time to start tackling it. With each of the cracks exposed and opened up, the next step was to apply an elastic sealant type product that would allow for future movement within the concrete slab itself, effectively retrofitting a movement joint within the concrete slab. After a quick test, I realised that some of the cracks were so large that I would have to buy over 20 cartridges of sealant just to fill them. Instead, I filled the larger cracks and holes with concrete. I would then grind out a channel within this new concrete and apply the sealant. This might not be best practice, but in my mind I was replacing the concrete I had removed, perhaps too enthusiastically, with the grinder, and the result would be the same, and I would still be following the instructions given to me by the product manufacturer. This is the last room on the first floor that we need to renovate. This was one of the 3 bedrooms. This one has just been a storage room. This bedroom comes off what we've turned into the living room, so the original kitchen of the house, this was the bedroom opposite. When we came to visit for, I think, the first time, there was a double bed in here, pushed up right against the wall, which was pretty much the same in each of the bedrooms. Because the double bed leaves a little bit of an awkward space at one end, if we bought a double bed from off the shelf from a company, I'm going to try and build a sort of custom bed platform, very simple, with storage underneath, or with space for storage underneath. While I thought about the bed design, we started to paint the walls and ceiling of the room that would eventually become the spare room for guests later on this year. With the bulk of the painting finished, the only thing left is to remove the tape and do any touch-ups. We can then get started on building the bed, replacing the ceiling light, and adding some extra bits of furniture. This week's video sponsor is Lasgoo. They sent me out their LG 3D laser level to review. It's going to make this renovation a lot easier, and I'm looking forward to using it in future projects. I've been using laser levels for some time now, and the LG 3D is the best one I've used so far. The green laser is bright enough to see in most environments, and with 3 lasers it provides 360-degree coverage. It has two USB-C rechargeable batteries providing 10 hours of use each, a magnetic stand that can be adjusted for any fine tuning, and a carry case for you to keep it in. A laser level is perfect for putting up shelves, aligning picture frames and so much more. I'm most looking forward to using it to level the floors and ceiling in the outbuilding when the time comes. But I'm sure it will get lots of use before that as we start to add shelves, paintings and pictures to the walls in our living room and recently finished spare bedroom. I'll leave links to the lasgoo LG 3D and any discount codes in the pinned comment below the video. The next step was to measure up the room for the bed frame. I also cleared my makeshift workbench so I could start cutting the timber to size. And after moving the car out of the way, I could unload the timber I bought from the sawmill. In total, this amount of wood cost me €75. It's much cheaper than buying it off the shelf in the big hardware stores here, but it does have some drawbacks which I'll get into later. I don't really know if this is good value, but I'd be interested to know how much you would pay in the country you are watching from. If you have a rough idea, please leave a comment below. What followed was a fairly lengthy process of measuring, sweeping, cutting, sanding, remeasuring, recutting and treating. This is some of the timber that I bought from the sawmill. It's all different sizes. The thickness is largely the same, but the widths are slightly different. They should all be 300mm wide. Some are 285, some are 290. I don't think any of them are over 300. 295. 290, 293. The wood has no real factory edge to work from, and there are no 90-degree angles on any of the corners, so I knew it was going to be difficult to work with, but I was looking forward to the challenge. Loadable. With the timber cut to size, I started to assemble the bed frame in our temporary kitchen. This room had enough space to do so as the frame had been sized to fit exactly in the spare room. With the frame fixed together, I manoeuvred it into the bedroom and started to fix the longer sides to form a rectangular frame. Next, I fixed this frame to the walls using the laser to keep it level. At this point, I discovered how uneven the floor was, especially in this room. I had to cut each leg to size so that the slats could sit on top. In the middle of the bed, I added another rail. This is supported by two legs made up of 3 pieces of timber, again cut to fit the sloping floor and frame. I also cut the rails that would run along the longer sides of the bed to support the slats at the edges. Despite some warped timber and a circular saw, I was happy enough with the frame. It's not perfect, but most of the rough corners will be hidden with a mattress. The next step was to bring the bed slats in that would form the base and then cut them to fit the frame that was slightly bowing out in the middle, so again I had to do each one individually. So the bed is now finished, or at least for this stage. There are a couple of things that I could do to finish it off. The slats haven't been bug treated, I will definitely do that, and I haven't fixed them down into the frame. We were thinking about adding a headboard, we might still do that, and I think we'll add a lamp into that corner because there's no real bedside table in here because the room is so small. The room is 6 meters squared and I think the bed frame takes up maybe 3.5 of that. The next things for this room, we're planning on adding a mirror, some artwork to the walls, a lamp in the corner as I mentioned, a lampshade for the pendant light. That's enough woodworking for this week. In between the days when it's too hot to work outside, I've been preparing the area for the external staircase serving the terrace above the outbuilding. I'm planning on creating a concrete platform and then building up the stairs using concrete blocks. But before I can do any of that, I need to dig. I'm planning on using the space underneath the stair as storage and a place to hide any electrical or water services. If I wasn't doing that, I could fill 2 trenches with concrete as foundations and build up from there. What I'm doing to begin with is creating a trench where I can easily position some timbers which will act as the formwork for the slab. The height of the ground out here is about 600 millimeters higher than the finished floor level inside the outbuilding at the moment. So it should be treated like a semi-basement. And one way of waterproofing it is digging down to the bottom of the wall, the bottom of the foundation, and then adding a French drain and having some sort of dimple mat waterproofing barrier on this side. That's going to take a lot of excavation, 600 millimeters down. I don't have a digger, and by hand that's going to take quite a while. So the alternative is to waterproof internally using a similar sort of system, but you lap that up the internal wall. And that's probably what we're going to do with this. Found this while digging the other day. Not sure what plant it comes from. To give you a better idea of my vision, here is a drawing of what I'm trying to build. It's been designed so it can be built from standard block sizes without the need to cut any. The treads will be cast in situ, and the sides of the stair will have the same appearance as the parapet wall of the outbuilding above. And here it is in 3D, which will hopefully answer any questions you might have, but if you do have any, please leave a comment below. Or if you have any suggestions, I'm open to hearing them. After a few days of digging, I realised that I had overlooked something. I planned to have a toilet and shower within the outbuilding. This would mean that I would need to connect it to the main sewer. The most sensible connection point would result in a drain going directly underneath the staircase. And to avoid demolishing any work later or doing something twice, I'm putting the project on hold for now until I can sort out the drainage runs. That leads me on to the interior spaces of the outbuilding itself. This space was formerly used as a bread oven, smokehouse, or some kind of general fire pit. It's going to be a challenge to convert this into something habitable, but I'm willing to give it a go. In the short term, we will use this as a storage area and transfer the stuff underneath the main house into here. So, I've been slowly clearing out this space, removing any unwanted concrete and stone, with the hope it will look somewhat presentable once I've finished. These barrels have been moved from one storage area to the next. They used to be underneath the house, then I moved them into here, and now I'm moving them to the other side of the yard. I don't want to throw them away, but I don't know what to use them for, so if you have any ideas, please leave a comment below with any suggestions. In the corner of the outbuilding were these two mounds of stone which were covered in concrete. I used the concrete breaker to loosen them up and separated the concrete out from the granite stone. I'm planning on using both in future projects. There was no concrete slab under these areas, so I assumed that they were there before it was poured. I'm digging deeper here to try and find the bottom of the foundation, making sure not to undermine the wall. It's in this area where I plan on having the toilet, so this is where I would need to dig out and install a drainage pipe in the future. Thanks for watching and supporting this channel. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and if you leave a like, it helps me reach new viewers.